Okay. So I'm here today with my friend Heidi. I've known her, God, 16 years?
Yes. Yes, it's been a while.
But we were both in grad school together, and neither of us is using our exact graduate degree at the moment, but I think both of us would probably say we wouldn't be where we are without having done that. So
That
that's
is
good.
a very good statement. Yes, accurate.
She has a PhD in history, and I have a master's in history and a JD. So a little bit overeducated over here. And
I say I own my nerdiness.
there you go. And I wanted to talk to her today. Heidi owns her own business called Career Path Writing Solutions.
Yes.
And they obviously help you use writing to help your career. But I wanted to talk to her because not only is she an expert in that, and we're going to talk about that in another video, but she also has 2 kids and has basically written a dissertation and run a business while having kids in and out of the house year round while working from home.
Yes.
So she's written multiple blog posts on having kids and working from home. So thought she might have some tips and tricks for all of us who have kids, or even people like me who don't, but like to have scheduled and distinct lives from work and home.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to her about that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And this has been, I've been reflecting on this and recognizing, just like when I work with some of my clients on resumes, sometimes they have expertise or experience in something that they just take for granted and don't appreciate is a skill set. I've just taken for granted that this has been something that that I do. And it, of course, right now with the current situation, it has been a disruption for everybody, including myself. But I feel like, at least for me, I'm grateful that it hasn't felt quite as challenging as I think it probably is for some folks who are used to being out and about all the time, or going into the office and then being forced to be working from home. So some of the things that I do have some tips I'm happy to talk with you about. And interestingly enough, I wrote down on my phone, I took some notes. I was listening to a podcast. I'm part of a mastermind group, and we're reading A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. It came out, I think over 10 years ago. And I'm watching the Oprah webcast with that. And
oh, really?
today, yeah, so I was on the treadmill because I'm trying to still make sure I'm active physically, because that boosts your immunity too. I jotted these things down, and they really are helping me be optimistic and keep focused. But the basis of your life is the present moment. So we have to become friendly with the present moment and make peace with the moment. We don't have to approve of the situation, but if we make peace with it, it's going to be a whole lot easier on all of us.
That's definitely true.
So I don't know why the universe shared that with me less, than a couple hours before we're here talking, but it resonated with me a lot. So I have peace with the moment. And because of that, I'm trying to go with the flow with everything, when in fact, usually I will say, I create the flow. So some tips. I think you could that's probably your natural.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're both probably over planners.
Perhaps. So, so do you want to hear my first tip?
Sure.
Okay. So number 1, create a designated workspace if you don't already have one. I am fortunate that I'm in my office right now. Our dining room right now is my husband's office. He's making do. He's not used to working from home, but he has a designated workspace now. And we're going to order a second office chair to make his station more comfortable. So even though we're all thinking about finances, or I think a lot of us are, recognize that, well, if I can spend a couple $100 and make this situation a lot better by having a good workspace it might be worth it for you.
Yeah, I realized for me, because my office is also my guest room and where my Peloton is.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have that be my office because there's too much else going on. So it's my dining room table, which is also awkward because it takes up a whole room, but it's the best I could do to have a designated space. When I'm here, I'm working. When I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, and I think you're probably too experiencing what I think I've read so much about minimalism. And if we have a decluttered physical space, it reduces stress. It allows us to it more. And in a world of such distraction, it could be helpful to be in a simplified space like that.
I wish that were true. I'm not showing you my desk for a reason.
Okay, fair enough. But speaking of a designated workspace, I would say this. If you have children, school-age children, I would say create a designated workspace for them. And I use the silly air quotes because at least for now, I've set up a schedule and I'll get to that, but I'm not framing this in my mind of I'm homeschooling. I don't know how to homeschool. Yes, I can print out worksheets, which I have one here about rulers and measuring.
And you're a trained professor, so you, in theory, would know more about teaching than most of us.
Yeah, and my mom, elementary school teacher, so I feel like I do have that, but I do not have a degree in elementary education, and I'm not putting that pressure on myself to say I'm going to do as good of a job as my kids' teachers. So for me, I want to set them up with a routine, but I'm not right now trying to put the pressure of I'm going to run my business and maintain sanity at home and make sure my kids are learning academically at the same level. Now, maybe I think there's other ways to learn. You know, they planted spinach. My youngest she started baking. She's 7. She picks out a recipe and she'll do that. So there's other ways to learn. But so get them set up with their own workspace. If you have an extra computer or tablet, you can set that up for designated time. So that links to, I created an Excel spreadsheet that is divided in like 15-minute segments. So, and I asked them, like, what do you, like, write down the things that you feel like you need to do each day. And they wrote down reading, Dreambox, which is a math app that they do at school. So they wrote things down. Of course, they included Netflix. But an hour of Netflix a day, I'm not going to nitpick over that.
Not right now.
No, not at all. So they were comprehensive. They wrote down their specials, and I created a schedule, a very basic one, but that has seemed to be working really well. It's not perfect, but it has seemed to be working really well. And that's, I think, for people who aren't used to working from home, that can also help the same way if you're found with you, if for whatever reason, because the work you're in, you have more downtime because of everything that's going on. Create a schedule. If you have your own business, okay, every morning I'm going to work on writing a blog post for 45 minutes, or so to help set some routine.
And I'm going to quickly, I just wanted to see if I could share really quickly what I did and maybe I can't, to show, what I did to show kind of how I'm doing that really quickly.
Okay.
There. So I'm basically divided a whiteboard into 3 sections with daily goals, long-term goals, and then a schedule for the day. And I go through and check things off every day. So I think that's a useful tip for even people that aren't involved. So that's kind of what mine looks like. And we'll get back out of this.
Yeah, and similarly, so when this first started and I was, whoa, because we only had a few days notice and wait for me. I have a little whiteboard and I wrote down like what I accomplished today, because writing that down actually, you know, as you do it, it gives you that sense of accomplishment. So another thing that I did with my children, and I recognize that this really, you have to adjust based on age. So mine are in 5th grade and 2nd grade, and they have grown up in an environment where if, you know, if I say I have a client call, you must be quiet, that's a norm for them. That's not a big adjustment. And they're a little older. They're not 4 years old anymore. So that I recognize there are different considerations for different aged children. But we set ground rules so they know, like right now, can you hear anything? No. because everybody, because my husband's working from home too, and usually he's just one room over. He's upstairs working, and my kids are upstairs and this time they're up there. I think they're reading right now. So if I'm just doing email, they might be down here. They know, oh, if I need to interrupt, I can. So setting the ground rules of what are the top most important times we need it to be quiet and when we need to be able to focus. And that has seemed to help a lot for us. And then I think maybe the most important tip I would have, and I could talk on and on and on, but really is about giving yourself and your family members grace, because this is, especially right now, we're just in uncharted territory. And so just like being able to pause and this too shall pass, appreciate appreciate the moment for what it is. That's what Eckhart Tolle is, or, find peace with the moment. If you snap at a child, a client, whatever, or you just or yourself, just be, there's no good energy spent dwelling on that. Apologize, accept okay, we're all imperfect, doing the best we can, and move on.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think that's something we all need to remember, especially as, I don't want to say we're not going to be productive working from home, because I think I'm just as productive working from home.
Yeah.
But productivity changes. It's not going to necessarily be 9 to 5. It might be, I get stuff done at 8, or I don't do 3 tasks, but I complete 5 urgent ones. I think we all need to remember that.
Exactly. Yeah. I think productivity, you can't, if you hold yourself to the same standard of what you have been, not even standard, but the same parameters, I think it's going to be harder on you than if you're okay, I'm working from home. I don't have to commute anymore. I'm saving myself some time there. So maybe I'm going to get up and if this is with kids, maybe I'm going to make sure I wake up earlier when they're still sleeping. I don't usually do that. But if I really need the quiet time and I have a deadline, then that's what I'm going to do. Or maybe I'm going to open myself to working, taking calls or working in the evening, when previously I was really good about setting boundaries for all of that. Because other people, I'm working with clients who their situations are changing. And we just have to kind of roll with that, and knowing that this is a new normal for now.
Right.
But it's not forever.
And you do have, just so everyone knows this, you wrote your dissertation when you had babies.
I did.
And you started a business when you had, I think, a toddler, right? So
background, I guess. I had my first daughter when I was writing my dissertation. And for the first 9 months, I didn't have any childcare assistance by choice. That was a choice for me. And I just made sure that every time she napped, I worked. And when they're really young, they nap a lot. So and then when I did have someone come a few hours a week when I had to go onto Duke's campus to work at the writing studio. And it wasn't really until she was probably 3, and I think I had about 10 hours of assistance. And then I had my second daughter. I'm trying to think through the timeline. Yeah, because I started, yes, so I started a business with 2 young children, and I have done that, and I am never, you can probably tell I haven't reflected on it too much in the past, so it's all to say it can be done. And that was I chose it that way. And I'm very pleased with that choice, because I feel like I got the best of both worlds with some of the things I've been able to do and experience while raising children and growing my business.
Yeah. And so I mean, having known you and watched you kind of in action, you've been pretty good about keeping yourself and the girls to a schedule, even when they were little, so that you could do both.
Yes.
And so I've been impressed with that. So I'm glad you're giving some tips on it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think schedules help. And one time when I was going through a difficult time, my father, who's a retired counselor, he said, sometimes we have to take things a day at a time. And there are some times in life where we have to take an hour at a time. And there are some times when we have to take things at 5 minutes at a time. And I think that's been really good advice. And that's not exactly what you meant by keeping to a schedule, I realize, but
it is
recognizing things for what they are. And there's always ups and downs with things and in life. And now this feels for a lot of people like a down, but if we're getting to spend more time with family physically, like, or virtually, I've had more people check in, some grad school friends I haven't talked to in months, just because, life's busy, just getting the texts and recognizing like, okay, so I answered a text when I was supposed to be my scheduled email time. Okay, but you're connecting, there's a season, there's the season we're in, season of life, and schedules help though. Schedules help a lot.
Oh no, I'm hoping that for all of us that we come out more connected, weirdly.
Yeah.
Because I think it's possible. So.
I do too. We certainly have a shared experience in a way that a couple weeks ago we haven't had. So from that historical perspective, there's a shared collective experience